Thing. Okay. Okay. And we are back. Nothing like some technical difficulties on our first chat back, but glad to have you here. We are here with author Cami. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And like just a quick question for some clarification purposes. Cami, author Cami, Cami Krishan, and Cami Hall are all the same person.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, the girls was confused.
I
Okay.
saw a post about it and it made me laugh. Because so I don't know, when I first started writing, the company that I was under, like my author name has always been Cami. Really not even author Cami, just Cami.
Mhm.
But when I got signed up, it said like my like last name too. So I was just like, is that supposed to be there? They're like, oh, it's just a formality. But everybody's like they don't know who to tag because they're like, well, I don't see a Cammy Holt because I'm like, no, because I don't.
That was my that's why I asked because I said, well, who am I supposed to be tagging? Because
No. Yeah,
but
because I don't use my last name.
oh, okay.
And- but it's on there. I mean, it's on my books on Amazon, just not
So
my
it's just Cammy. Like that's
Yes, it's
it.
just Cammy.
Just Cammy. Well, hey, Cammy girl, we are so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing your talents with us. So, real quick, we're going to start with some icebreakers. Probably don't need them, but we still going to do it. Don't think, just answer the questions. You ready?
Oh God. Okay.
It's not that hard. It's just you. It's just you. It's just two people having a conversation. Water, wine, coffee, or tea.
Oh, wine.
Cheers to that. Morning or night?
Ooh, neither. Night.
Gosh.
Girl.
She said, I would like to be in bed. Thank you.
Listen.
Digital or print?
Ooh, digital.
Same, same. Standalone or series?
Standalone.
Okay.
Unless you add completed before the series. Cause I can't. I can't.
And music or quiet?
Music.
All right. See, that wasn't too hard.
No.
Okay. Where are you from? And what do you like to do when you're not writing?
I'm from a small town in Ohio called Mansfield. Girl, I don't do anything. I really don't. I've always been a reader. So that's pretty much all I've ever really done. That's like my main hobby. Um,
Okay.
I don't really have time to do too much of anything, but yes, that is my hobby. Reading is my favorite thing to do when I'm not writing.
Me too. So since you do like to read, can you share three must read books for our sister girls?
Okay, must read. I'm gonna say definitely "Conflicted Heart" by Kay Shani. Um, Let me see. "Salvage My Soul" by Antoinette Sherrill. "Fast" by Millie. I don't want to. Is it Millie Belazar?
That's all, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Oh, those are three good ones. Those are three really emotional deep dive books though. Like that it's
I mean, I'm really an emotional girly.
are you a water sign by chance?
So I am an earth sign.
Oh, and you're an emotional girl? That's interesting.
I'm naturally no, but
Oh,
when I read books, I like books that make me feel.
okay.
I'm not a comedy girl, so like I don't do like rom-com and stuff like that. Like when I read, I want to get lost. I want to feel the anger or emotions, the like pearl clutches and all of that.
Okay. She says she likes what she likes. I like it. And since you've always been a reader girl and that has always been like your main hobby, when did you know you wanted to be an author?
I get asked this question a lot, and it's just like I never really wanted to be an author. It was never a
Yet here
dream.
yet
No,
you
I've
are.
always been very shy. And I never really wanted to be front and center of anything. So I just like reading. It was just an escape, and I just kind of woke up and was just like, ooh, like I don't know, like something kind of sparked it. I think after COVID, and I was just like, life is too short and I'm just gonna try it. I ain't gonna tell nobody. I'm just gonna try it and see what happens.
So you didn't tell anybody you were publishing a book?
No, the only person who knew was my publisher at the time because we had a relationship, like a friendship, and I did not tell a soul. None of my friends knew, family, nobody. So when I released my book outside of the people that were on her team, nobody knew.
And what about now? Do you feel differently now? Do you want everybody to know?
I'm still very shy when it comes to certain things, but obviously, yes, I want people to read my books. And I've had no choice but to come out of my shell, so it definitely has changed me in the way that I normally carry myself because I have to put myself out there.
Okay. That's interesting because a lot of people like usually they be like, "Oh, I knew since I was a child," and it's like this is the first time.
I know. And I always feel like when I hear they're like, I've been writing and I've never, I just have always, my mom built me a library when I was little and she just always, and she doesn't like to read. And she's just always bought books and I would always have collections of books. Like take me anywhere, I would have one with me. And it's just always been my first love. But I never, ever thought, I think I can do this. Never, never.
Well, I'm glad you did it, and I'm glad you got to share your work with us. So when you started, or now that you've been doing this for a few years, what is your process like? How do you meet your characters? What is your writing process? Where do you draw inspiration from?
My writing process is very chaotic.
Okay, yeah.
And I just so when I wrote my first book, I wrote it chapter by chapter, like one, chapter two, and I just kind of let the words flow. I don't do outlines. So we just go into it. I open the doc. Usually I already have a title in mind. The characters come off the top of my head. I give them a last name and we just go from there. There's inspiration wise, I get inspired by a lot of things. A lot of my books come from dreams.
Hmm,
Um, so I'll have a dream about something. I've always been a very vivid dreamer, and so like I'll have an idea. Usually it'll be a simple idea, and I'll just open the document, come up with the names, and start chapter one.
interesting. I can barely remember my dreams when I wake up. I'm always like, what happened there? Like it's just blank time. But that's interesting. I think that's beautiful because it's really coming from your imagination. Before developing a storyline, how much research do you put into, while you're just sitting there with that blank document? Do you go and do you research? Do you do deep dives into people's lives? Like, well, how do you come up with the themes?
It really just depends. Like as far as research, I research while I'm writing. So if there's something that I don't know, I'll either ask someone who's in the field. So like for instance, I'm working on a sports romance and my cousin slash sister is like a sports junkie and she has been since we were a kid. So like when I need help with certain things, like I'll reach out to people that are very well versed in certain things.
That's
Uh,
smart.
my Google is crazy.
Yeah, I see a lot of memes. It is like if you saw a writer's Google history, no, you did it.
Oh yeah, it's just yeah. I just so I because I like to have like kind of information like how long if I'm writing about like injuries, like for instance like sports injuries, like how long do certain injuries last and things. But as far as like my and like deep diving like my topics, I really never know what's going on with my books. I usually like I said
I don't know what's going on.
no, I usually like I'll have a dream, and sometimes I don't have to have a dream. Like sometimes I'll be like, I want to write a story about a certain topic. So for Count on You, um, the fertility was a major topic, and so it really didn't take much for me to really dive into that because I've been around individuals in my life who have experienced certain things, so it's really easy for me to tap into certain subjects. Like once I get an idea in my head, get the basics, that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Count on You. You have these two characters, Normandy and Tyson, and they come from drastically different backgrounds and family structures. How did you know that they would mesh well in a romantic relationship when you thought up these characters? Because if you look at their like just structurally, if you look at their relationships, their situations, they both were taken, and when we first meet them, and then we get a lot of background information before these two characters. It was almost like two books in a way, where you kind of get a lot of background information on Tyson and a lot of background information on Normandy to better understand both of these characters deeply. And it's like it's their relationship is not going to work on paper, but it
Yeah.
does. So tell us about, how did you decide like, oh, this is going, it's going to figure itself out?
You know what, my characters generally like give me. They have a lot of chemistry. Like when I'm writing, I always like feel like the chemistry and the vibe between them. And I'm really a firm believer that sometimes it's cool to have people who are like minded or similar to you in certain aspects. But sometimes you kind of need people that balance you out. I identify more with dysfunctional families. So I tend to write them a lot. And sometimes you need to see certain aspects. Like I've been around people, like friends who have very strong family dynamics, and it kind of draws me in. I'm just like, wow, because I don't know what that's like. So sometimes it's helpful to experience certain things that you've never experienced before, because it kind of opens you up to certain ways of communication. And it helps you. I guess for me, I'm really big on character development because it helps you understand like why these people act the way that they do.
Yeah. I think that was definitely like a good part of the book is that the reader got a chance to understand Normandy and Tyson individually before their relationship even came to a like before they
Yeah.
even became romantically involved, and they both were dealing with some very big challenges when they encounter each other, because even though the unfortunate child loss had not happened with Normandy yet, her not being able to get pregnant
Yeah.
was weighing heavy on her, and readers kind of are introduced to that very early in meeting her character. And Tyson, it's like we start with the gut punch, where it's like, this not your kid. It's like, whoa,
Right.
that's like chapter 2. It's like, whoa, this not your shit. It's like your fiance has a child that you've been
Yeah.
raising, and this is not your child. Hey, Alika. Hey, Marvella. We have some people joining us. That was for sure a part of why I love this book. Alika, which part? What is the part that you are sure that's why you love this book? Um, Tyson, speaking of, is very rough around the edges. He is very I don't want to say ghetto, but if the G fits, I mean, but highly intelligent, financially savvy, and yet he is suffering from his own emotional deficits. The neglect and abandonment from his mother, then having this woman who he was planning to marry and cheating on him with a family member, his cousin, by marriage, that he saw as a like, that's a lot. Talk,
Yeah.
talk. Outside of Tyson having all of these standout characteristics, talk to us about his development as a man and showing this very vulnerable human side to a young black man that usually we don't really get to see this vulnerable.
Yes. That's one of the, I guess, a big major like staple for me. To create like emotionally like intelligent men. Like they can be rough and be hood and you know use their guns to speak for them at times, but I think it's important to see that men are not one sided, they're not one dimensional. They do have layers. And they do go through things too. They sometimes their processes are a bit different. But they still like go through things and deal with things. They may not be, of course, like we don't want to see a man like crying and blubbering in the corner, but at the same time, like they do take emotional hits and they still have to bounce back and they still have to be a protector and they still have to be a leader in the midst of going through their emotional turmoil. So I think it's important to see that they have feelings too and they may handle it differently, but it's just a lot of complexities that come with both men and women.
Yes, I think that would, like, you did a really good job, and I think having Tyson come from the more structured family unit where his parents, granted that was his stepmom, but
Yeah.
his parents were more open, honest, forgiving, loving. Like they really were what you would want for in-laws, right? As a woman, because they were very supportive, very loving, very open, very honest, and very supportive of Tyson, and even supportive of Tyson and his feelings with their trifling behind mama. It's something going on in these books where it has been a string of trifling mamas, like real true. Like I'm used to seeing women with trifling mamas, but there has been a string of books I've read, and I don't know if anybody can cue in on this. And I'm not saying that authors are doing it on purpose, but it has been a lot of trifling mamas. And I was expecting a little bit more from his mom. Was anybody else expecting a little bit more from his mom once they bumped into her and they agreed to dinner? I was. I was expecting a little bit more from his mama. I
And
was.
I think like, and I've dealt with a lot of, ironically, I've dated a lot of men with mommy issues. Which I will not do that again, but like, I guess I'm just very nurturing, but I've dealt with a lot of men who have trauma from their mothers, and they project that on women, whether it's,
Oh, for sure,
them
for
feeling like
sure.
all women can't be trusted, or what, and so I'm just like, it shapes you. Parenting shapes you, whether it makes you deflective, whether it makes you defensive, closed off, emotional. Like, parents, they definitely have a lasting effect. And sometimes I think with men and their moms, it's either one or the other. A lot of times when it comes to trauma, they're either not the type of mother, their mothers are either too strong and they set this precedent, so they feel like all women should be holding houses on their backs because my mama did it, or they have been neglected and lack that love and nurturing, so then they don't have the capabilities.
Mhm.
But also in
Basically,
turn, just because you go through things, don't, like, your parents put you through things, that doesn't mean that you have to be like a product of that either.
which was interesting because I don't feel like Tyson necessarily was either or of
No.
those. But I feel like and I feel like partially that was because he had a stepmother, and even after everything transpired with his ex fiance, he still wasn't bitter, for lack of
Yeah.
better words. He still wasn't bitter. He was like, that's her, that's who she is. I will never trust her again. And that's everything that happened to her basically was her karma and her consequences, even though he took part in part, like, took
Right.
part in
Yeah.
it. But it's like, oh well, that should, like, I feel like he's the like person, like, once he got his lick back, he was over
I
it.
don't care. He's like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. But no, for the mom, I was waiting for like this big bang, like where she was like, oh, I left because of this, or I left because of that. It's like, girl, you left for really
No,
no
some
good
people are
reason.
just
And
selfish.
I think that's what it is for me. I'll be waiting for like this like traumatic reason that somebody did something. It was like, no,
Yeah, because I have to make sense of this.
yeah. And it was like, no, she's just selfish. Like she was just over being a mom. Like, and that's crazy. Like, you wanted to be a party girl that bad that you gave up your child, and you just was like, oh well. Not, and then not coming back and trying to be a part of his life after you decided that you wanted to be a preacher's wife. Wouldn't that have looked better? Like, that was just so crazy. But let's talk about Normandy. Raise your hand if you wanted to shake Normandy. Raise your hand if you wanted to shake her. Some, like, I wanted to shake her, hug her. I wanted to sit down. Like, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Like, I very much wanted. I wanted her to wake up a lot sooner than she did, and it was like, why did it take you this long? Like, why did you go this far into this? Why did it take them having another baby? Like, girl, what's not, like, what is happening here?
I think that, and it's funny because, um, like I said, most of my stories are based on very realistic scenarios. And I think sometimes when we read books, they're a little too realistic, and like, everybody has a homegirl. I was the homegirl where it's just like, I cannot wait for you to leave this man. Like, girl, what is it that you don't see? Like, he is not good for you. Like, he don't like you. He don't treat you right. He don't, and you just be waiting. Like, when are you gonna wake up? And I identify with Normie to a certain degree, because sometimes you want the vision of the relationship you create in your head. So you want the love, you want the when you get married or you're in the process of getting married, it's like you've been with this person for so long and you don't want to start over. Like, I didn't invested these years into you, and so like surely at some point you're gonna
I
change.
think that was my issue with Normandy, because I think she said it was what, 3 years. I just felt like girl,
Like, girl, like you pretty, you got a career.
If it was her high school sweetheart who like held her down during medical school and all of this, I might have gave this a heart, like a more of a sturdy leg to stand on. But it was like she was like, we've been together for 3.
Like, girl, if you don't get out of here. But you know what? I've had those experiences with people that I'm close to, where it's just like, that man talk about the way you look, the way you dress, the way you smell, the way you walk. Like, I don't think he likes you, sis. It's just like,
I was saying that the whole time. Like, I was like, girl, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. This man does not like you. I don't know what. And then I met her. Like, then you meet her family, and it's like, I think my issue with Normandy is she was too smart for this.
Yes.
And you can blame it all on your mom and her holding your dad down and accepting his outside child and all of that. That's not your business. And I think what I got from her story, that part of her story, was like, okay, your mom did that, but that does not mean that has to be your story. Like, he already came into this with 2 children, and you being stepmommy of the year, and this man don't even like you.
No.
I wanted to shake her down. But then
sometimes people can be very smart educational wise, and I think sometimes people I've met people that feel like they have a point to prove. Like, I have seen situations where, your mom has failed at every single relationship she's ever had. So then you get in a relationship and you're just, I gotta prove that I can hold on to a relationship because my mama has never. And then
I get that. But her growth arc, let's talk about the growth arc. I won't be one of those people who only talk, about. So then we get this growth arc. And it's like she goes on vacation and comes back a completely different person.
Text me. I'm sorry, my son is being ghetto.
That's okay. These kids gonna want what they want when they want it. But yeah, so it's like she went on vacation. She comes back. I thought her losing the baby was gonna be the thing that woke her up, but that was not it. But that's okay.
And it's funny, like, when I write certain things, because like I said, I don't outline, so I never really know what's happening until I'm typing and it's happening, and I'm like, girl, because what are we doing? Because the minute that man left you at the house, at the doctor's office, and was just like, all right, cool, and then you see this picture of, his baby mom posted a picture like, we always got each other back. At that point, his stuff would have been on the curb. Like,
I love how you, as the author, are taking no accountability for.
No, I don't have anything to do with this. I don't have anything to do with this.
Taking any accountability for the way this shook out.
I break up with people in 2 seconds. I don't have the patience for nothing.
I wrote it, but it ain't me.
Listen, I'm telling you, I have no control. I be like, girl, we really doing this? Oh, okay. And I usually don't write about relationships. Like, women in prior relationships, most of my books, the women are always single. They never have like previous history of relationships, or if they do, they're not discussed in the book. This one, outside of Take Me Away, was probably the first. Really, this one was the first one where she was in an established relationship prior. And I was like, baby, this is what we do? This is what you're giving me?
It was definitely like, I got like 30% in, and I was like, I'm gonna have to put this down for a second.
Do you hear me? I had so many people, like, people were so mad. They were tagging me like, I'm so close to DNF, and I'm like, y'all, I'm sorry. She's dumb. What do we do? But just pray for her.
Because I was like, here we, like, that DMX song, here we go again. I was like,
you're not going back. I know you're not.
What are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? And I was like,
we have lost the plot.
We have lost the plot. Like, yeah, it was definitely the plot was lost. And I felt like it wasn't even after he left her at the doctor's office. It was after Tyson dropped her off at the hospital and was like, she was like, Tyson, you can come back. Where is your fiance? Why
Girl,
why is this stranger coming back? Where's your fiance? That means he's not there. And that was it for me. And that
yeah,
was it. And then it was like 3 years later, and it was like, he's not gonna be there. And then he was still there. And
still there. Like, girl, what you got going
I
on?
was
Like, oh, okay.
like
So
you ever pop up on your girl in the bed that she
he
not supposed
went to
to be
talk to
with?
that lady, okay? He did.
Please.
He told her he was gonna do right and he was gonna get it together. And she was
But
like,
he
okay.
didn't.
And no, no.
But the growth arc. So we get to see a different person towards the end of the book, middle to end of the book, where
Yeah.
she finds her voice. So talk about, like, her character truly developed into a grown woman from this very passive person who had no boundaries. Because even with her friends, she had very little boundaries. We had with her family, no boundaries again. Her mom and dad, because they paid for stuff, they got a say in how she lived her life. Even though she was very successful, she goes from this passive person with no boundaries to knowing exactly what she wanted. How did she get there? How do you feel like, you writing the story, her telling her, I don't know, telling you the story to write the story? How did Normandy find her voice?
Honestly, I don't really feel like it was something that she did on her own. I feel like with her character, like her and Tyson's character, it was just one of those things where like you have like when you're in a relationship with somebody who you can't really depend on, you kind of cleave to your family a little bit, even if they're toxic. You're just like you just want somebody to hold on to. But having like a strong person, even outside of Puma, like having a strong person that you like, okay, I know that this person is in my corner and I don't want them to feel like I'm a burden. Like I don't want them to feel like, oh, like this person is weak or this person like maybe this person isn't for me because I don't know how to like carry myself. And I think it's just the journey, just her pregnancy too. Like, okay, obviously I'm supposed to be learning something from this. Like I've went through this struggle for all these years and now here we are in this moment. There's a reason for this. Like I didn't come like all this way for nothing. So like I'm going to either wallow and cry or I'm going to get my stuff together and hope for the best and pray for the best or keep a positive outcome in my mind because I can't go through what I've been through before.
Yeah. I think for me, when I started liking Normandy is when she explained to Tyson the kind of relationship she wanted. And I was like, girl, there you go. You finding it. You finding it. You finding it. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. You're finding it. And I was like, okay, I see the light. I see the hope.
Like
I
I
see
know, so you know what you want. Now how do we,
now how do we get there? Like, and even if it's not Tyson, granted, in the book, yes, you wanted to be the main character because that was the point of reading the book. But it's like, I'm glad that you're finding out. And I think a lot of women, like, even if I wouldn't suggest reading this whole book, I would suggest somebody just reading that passage. Know what you want, because if you don't know what you want, you're settling, you're doing anything. And I think that was just like really beautiful, like when she was like, no, you have to get your stuff together first, like
yeah,
you
because
have to.
and
It's
I can
into our
say like,
relationship.
I've personally been in that place before, where it's like being in a relationship that's not healthy for you, and you just allow so many things to happen, and you go through so much. And honestly, when you've been at your breaking point when it comes to that, like you do kind of wake up because it's just like I know what the worst is like. I will never allow myself to settle for anything less because I'm not going back there. So if I'm going to be in another relationship or even consider another relationship, I need to set these expectations because the last one we ain't set no expectations and he didn't drag us down the street.
Yeah,
So
he definitely got dragged down the street a couple times, and I was like, whoop, there they go again. It was like that couple that's like that you always see arguing, and she's like, I'm gonna leave.
and they be right back 48 hours like, I love you, baby.
So this a few of the themes in this book were really heavy, including, the abandonment, child loss, pregnancies. How did you cope with writing this? Did you research? Did you how did you delve into these topics, and how did you take care of yourself while writing these heavy topics?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know that I do take care of my, I
Okay.
don't know. You know, like I said, I draw a lot of my emotions and a lot of my storylines from things that I've experienced or I've been around. Um and so I kind of tap into those emotions. I don't know that I take care of myself. I just really immerse myself in the book. I want it to be as authentic. So when I'm writing, I literally connect with those emotions and just dive all the way in. So like it can, when you read my books, I want you to feel. So that's the thing, whether it's angry, whether it's just like frustration, happiness, like I want the feelings to be conveyed. So I'm very committed to that when I'm writing my story, but I do connect with my characters on a personal level, so I don't find it difficult at all. Abandonment is a big topic, and a lot of my books have it to some degree. To me, my books are my way of healing. So whenever I speak on certain topics, it's just really my way to draw awareness to them, and then also create a path to which that character can receive some type of healing for those feelings and emotions that they've been through.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, because I felt, I definitely felt emotions in this book. Like, as somebody who is an emotional girl, I'm definitely an emo girl. I cry at everything. And I'm like, it's so sad. Like, I really was like, this is so sad. I've never think, about m- putting myself in these positions because I've not experienced it, but being empathetic and knowing that there are people going through these things, and it definitely is heartbreaking, like just knowing that people are experiencing this and not having the kind of, then on top of that, not having the kind of support system to help them through it.
Yeah, it's like I said, I mean it's something I have dealt with my entire life. So I resonate with those topics very much so. And I feel like having a support system is very important. Me personally, I'm very introverted, so I really don't like to depend on people. I don't like I don't want to say I don't like closeness because I love my friends, but I am naturally recluse when it comes to things because I like to be independent. I don't want to ever be a burden to people or feel like I have to depend on someone. So you know, abandonment looks different from for everyone. Some people are just hyper independent, and some people, you know, they just want somebody. Like I just want, and I think for Normandy, it was just like she wanted somebody. So Marquise wasn't the choice and he wasn't the right person for her, but he was there. So it's just like as long as he gonna be here, I guess I'm just gonna suck it up, you know, and take whatever he has to
Hate that
give.
for her. Hate that for her.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And a lot of people do just to have someone because you don't want to be alone. So it's just like if I have to tolerate a little bit of discomfort or if I have to tolerate disrespect or if I have to, as long as he doesn't leave, like I'll still be, at least I have someone, you know. And it's a terrible it's a terrible situation to be in, to not feel you or understand your worth to the point where you will accept something that's less than what you deserve.
Mm. I have a off the wall question. Since you have nothing to do with this book besides writing it, my girl said, I ain't got nothing to do with this story.
I don't
This,
have a thing.
I wrote it, but that's
Daniels,
it.
okay?
But these people, let's talk about the friendship real quick. What was Puma wrong for crossing a line that Normandy asked her not to and telling Tyson about the pregnancy?
You know what? Um, it really depends. You know, some people will say like you don't want to, you know, disrespect or, you know, damage your trust with your friend. But I think sometimes also when you love somebody, you don't keep it real with them. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going to allow them to do things that you know that are going to hurt them in the end, and are going to hurt someone else. And I think with Puma, she's more assertive, and she's just like, "I love you." Once she knows Normandy's very passive. She know Normandy ain't finna fight her if she do it, and she knows she's not gonna do nothing. But she also knows that deep down, Normandy wants this. She's allowing her fears to get in the way of her happy ending. And I think with Puma, she's like, she knows, one, it's the right thing to do. Two, she knows that her friend has a big heart and she knows that she really cares about this man and she doesn't want to be alone. So it's like one of those things, like, you're not going to step up and take the necessary steps to help yourself. So I'm going to do it for you. And I really don't care how you feel.
Hmm. Interesting. Because I could see that being a contingency point in a friendship. Like, don't, this was my boundary and you crossed it. And it made me question, can boundaries sometimes be ignored for a good reason,
Yeah,
for the,
absolutely.
for the good of the end.
It depends. I think it depends on the person. I think it depends on the person in the relationship, because when you're in a friendship, there's certain things that you know about your friend on a personal and intimate level, that you know the how far you can go and what boundaries are adjustable in a sense. Because if it's like a boundary, like, this person has abused me and I don't want them to know because they could hurt me, something like that can put that person in harm's way, something that can cause them, emotional damage or distress, then those are things to take into consideration, because you know what, this is your business. But I think for Puma is one of those things, like, I don't get involved. I didn't let you be with this man and mistreat you. I didn't told you how I felt about it and I allowed you to be, but now I'm not going to allow you to self-sabotage yourself, your relationship, or these children, because at the end of the day, you can't do this on your own.
Yeah. Okay. That was it just made me like, having this conversation like with you made me think about that. Like, had Puma not intervened, what would this book been like, or what would this story have been like? I'm not asking you because you clearly don't know, because all you did was
You
write the book.
know, consider
All you did was write the book. You
I
didn't have
considered
nothing
it,
to do with
but
it, but you just wrote it down.
I think that for Tyson, he would have found out one way or the other. The difference is that it could have been that he would have waited a little bit longer to pursue her, because he wasn't, I don't think there was ever a time where he was ever going to truly give up on her. But at the same time, it's just like he got his own stuff going on. So he just like, I'm going to talk to her, but I'm giving her space. But I don't think he thought that there was anything going on in the midst of her space.
Yeah.
So he would have got there, but it could have possibly been, when the head was crowning. Who knows?
I mean, unfortunately, kind of missed the birth anyway of the babies.
He did.
His cousin brother is a hater, and now he had to suffer because he that was just I don't understand people like that. You did me wrong and now I'm the bad guy. Like, I don't even that wasn't even one of my questions because I don't even want to touch that. Like, that is just weird behavior. Like, you're
And
just
there's a lot of people like that.
really
There is like
the
there's
bubble.
some people who will dislike you or carry resentment towards you for something that you don't have any control of. So for DeMarco, it really was about Mama Mika because he didn't have a mom. So that in his mind, this is his mom, this is his family. And then here you come, this extra person getting something that I feel like I was earned because my mom was taken away from me and she's supposed to be the replacement. So like she's supposed to love me the most. She's supposed to be mine. And then here you come and everybody thinks that you're just this great person and you just have all these things and all these good things happening to your life. And I'm just here. I'm, the behind the scenes person that nobody really pays any attention to.
He needed to go see the lady. That's what that
He
like.
did. But there's sometimes people in your corner can have jealousy. It may not always come out in that way, but sometimes, there are people that were like, I want to get a one up on you. And it usually it be the people that's closest to you that have that hidden animosity or jealousy for things that you literally can't control. Like you can't control people love you. You can't control your successes. You can't control, the things that he has, like instead of coming together like, okay, let's have this great family, let's have this empire. He's like, no, I want you to lose it all.
He was a very disgusting person. I didn't even want to talk about him, but he was just scared. He made my tummy ache. We have one more question and we wrap it up. If there was one message you want readers to leave with after reading Count on You, what would it be? Even though all you did was write the book.
I think from me. You know what? Because I'm not organized in the sense of like I let my characters tell me who they want to be. I don't decide their personalities. I let them tell me exactly what they want to do, what they want to say, who they are. And that allows me to create and to develop my characters the way that I do, because I don't hold them back and I don't be like, okay, well, this person is going to be mean and ruthless and this, like, they're going to tell me whatever layers that they want for themselves. I think for me with any book, like, I want people, women specifically, to always know that it really doesn't matter. Like, even if you feel like you made so many mistakes in life with relationships and you've been with this person, like, there's somebody out there that's going to love you in such a way that it will literally help you heal from all those past scars and those damages. But also to love, be open to love, and also know that, like, your worth, because sometimes you'll be in relationships and they make you feel like you're not worthy. Then you start to take on those characteristics, but to know, regardless, like, of your choices and the relationships and the mistakes you've made, like, you are worthy of love, and there's somebody out there that will give you that without you having to conform and to be someone that you're not. And anything is possible. Also, I put a lot of, I don't want to say religious aspects, but for me, it's always about having faith. And sometimes, with her, the biggest message was, sometimes God will literally, I said it in the book, sometimes he will literally take things or deny you from things that you really want in life, because he doesn't want you to have it with those people, or he doesn't want you to have it in that stage. And so
Yeah.
you have to believe that I am deserving of the things that I desire, but it might not be the right time for me. He might want me to go through some things before he blesses me with whatever that thing is that I desire.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I believe that as well. So, what is next for author Cammy? Cammy, that's it. I was going to say something else, but I stopped myself. You see that?
Um,
It was like, it was right there. And I said, "Oh no," she said,
you
"Just
know
Cammy."
what? I don't mind it. I just don't. I don't use that. I don't. But Cammy, Author Cammy Holt, either one. So
Cammy.
right now, I am in the process. I've been so busy this week. I'm in the process of finishing up the next installment for this continuation. So Merc and Puma will have their own story. I'm literally at the finish line. I'm trying so hard. So I'll be finished tomorrow. Don't know when tomorrow, but I'll be finished with their book tomorrow and be reading over it this week so I can turn it in. And I'm so excited. It wasn't, I started their story, but then I also started working on another story because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. But, I started their book right before I released Count on You, and we're already at 93,000 words. So clearly they have a lot to say.
Well, I mean, that is going to be. I can't even say that's the enemies, the lovers trope. Is because they're not clearly. I mean, they're not really enemies. They're just like very.
Headstrong. They're
I was going to say resistant
Yeah.
people.
I
They're
think the difference is vastly different than Tyson and Normandy, because Puma don't Puma not going. And I think both of them, they're both like, I don't want a relationship. They're not enemies. It's just more so their personalities are so strong that, one, they're attracted to each other, but two, it's just like, I can't deal with somebody who got a mouth like you, because you're gonna get on my nerves, or we gonna be cussing each other out all the time.
yeah, for sure. Because they cuss each other out enough and Count on You. Like it was definitely the energy was there.
For sure. But they definitely have
They definitely
quite
have
a bit
a
of a change.
okay.
So this book went nothing like I planned. And it's funny because, like, people are like, this book, like, there's a lot of humor because they're both naturally, like, they don't care what come out of their mouths, but their relationship is definitely a lot deeper. It takes some crazy turns. So I'm a bit nervous. It's a little bit more urban than I'm used to. I'm not a natural crier. I really, I'm not, like, people who know me know I'm not an emotional girl. Well, until I started writing, I wasn't like, I would go to funerals and not cry. Like, not that I didn't feel things, but I've never been like a sad type of girl. Like, I've never been a crier. And then I started writing and I just be crying all the time. But but it definitely, I'm excited because it's pushing me outside of my norm. Like most of my characters have like little elements, but this one is like dismemberment. There's a lot of violence. Okay, there's a lot going on, and it definitely pushed me outside of my like normal sad girl, brokenhearted romance. Like I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing this. Alrighty. And like I said, I had nothing to do with this. Let's preface
Let's
before
preface it.
this book comes out.
It has
It's,
nothing to do with this.
it's possibly going to be coming out next
That
month.
might be like this is so funny to me. Is that like I think you like are one of the first authors I talked to who say, "Listen, we can sit here and talk about this, but just know this ain't got nothing to do with me."
I don't have nothing because I don't have nothing to do with it. Like when my characters say that they want to do something, I'd be like, "You sure? All right, cool." Like I just let them do whatever they want, and I just usually when I'm typing, like I sprint, I just write, and I'll be like, "Oh no, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?" And it's too late because if I change it and try to make it into something that I feel is better, it takes me longer to write my story. So I just let them do whatever, and I just clean up the loose ends.
We readers can expect that in October.
That is the goal. I'm tomorrow should be my finish day because I took today off. I've been writing for the last 3 weeks straight, no days off, no breaks, no nothing. Like 9 a.m. to 1 in the morning. I've been writing nonstop. Yes. So I have not had any rest whatsoever. So I took today off.
Good for you.
So I can do my other jobs. But I needed a moment. But yes, so my goal is to drop it in October. I have a date in mind. It may not work out that way, but I always listen. I think I posted on my TikTok. I always try to drop it on my ex-husband's birthday. We're still really good friends. Well, sometimes, but I just feel like I should be the one being celebrated on his birthday. After everything I've been through, I feel like his day should be about me.
This just took this went so far. Like
Yes, look.
She's trying to drag this man by his beard here. Like
I feel like it's only right. It is only right. And he knows it. He was just like, because last year I tried to drop my book on his birthday and Amazon held it up for like 2 days. I was so sad. So this year I have to redeem myself.
You're trying. Okay. And for the sister girls who may not follow you, tell them where they can find you so they can get this next release on your ex-husband's birthday.
So if you want to stay in touch, I do have a Facebook group called Cammy's Crew, and that's with a K, so Kreu. You can also follow me on Cammy's Current Reads on IG or Cammy's Current Reads on TikTok as well. And then I do have an author Cammy page on Instagram too.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for writing down what Tyson and Normandy wanted you to write and edited and prepped for us to receive a beautiful book. And thank you for joining us tonight. And we look forward to your next installment next month. Congratulations. Yes. And girls, don't forget to go follow her on all of her social media platforms. And we will see you in October.
Yes.
Next book. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you, girls, for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good night.